Hi everyone, welcome to another Bedford Fire Department open house. This is the open house for 2015, and I think this is BCTV's 7th or 8th or maybe 10th straight year down here. This is always a great time to celebrate the services of the Bedford Fire Department and to remind the community that they are here to protect them. Behind me right now are a bunch of people that are standing in line with their young kids to get on the fire truck, which is the most popular ride here. In fact, it's the only ride. But inside, and you'll see it a little bit later, there's a lot of other exhibits in there that you're going to have some fun with. So stay with us as we interview some of the people that have come down here for some fun, food, and to learn more about fire safety and the Bedford Fire Department. Hey, do you mind if we have just a quick opportunity to talk to you young ladies and talk to these young little firefighters? Is this the first time that you guys have come to the Bedford Fire Department's open house?
Yes, it is. Yes.
How about you guys? You guys are already dressed up for the fire department's fun evening. This is unbelievable. Did you guys make this outfit?
No. Where'd you buy it at?
I know. I have to give someone else credit. We didn't make them.
Well, that's okay. I take credit that at least you were smart enough to put them in here just in case there's a fire. Are you guys? They're going to be going on the fire engines? Oh, it's a lot of fun. But I'll tell you I've been doing this a lot of years, and this is a great outfit. Oh, you guys are awesome. Hey, there's a lot of good pizza and there's some special treats in there, so go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Firefighter Steve Bateman.
Yes, sir.
May I have an opportunity to talk to you just for a couple of minutes?
Sure.
Steve Bateman, longtime Bedford firefighter, just a terrific guy, and has the duty of, what is this thing we're looking at right now, Steve?
This is the state sprinkler trainer, and what it shows people is how fast after a fire begins a sprinkler head will activate to put out a fire. So in a normal house without a sprinkler, a fire starts and then grows and grows and grows and grows, and it doesn't go out until either we put it out or it goes out on its own, which it goes out on its own when the house is burned to the ground. With a residential sprinkler or a sprinkler in a building, a commercial building, the sprinkler head will activate in the room and put the fire out, or at least keep it in check until the fire department gets there. So our demonstration here is to show how quickly the sprinkler head activates and how quickly the fire goes out.
It never ceases to amaze me how people are surprised when they do go in there, and I've had the opportunity to be in there to say, wow, I take for granted what's in my house, and I don't have sprinklers, but my God, if I'm in a general assembly place,
right,
that even makes it even more dangerous.
Well, these sprinklers, most of us don't have them in our homes, which we wish we did, but we don't. But if you go to a hotel room, they have them. You know, most schools will have them. So places where we're going to gather, restaurants will have them. We'll have them, and it's the code that any new building has to have them in it. But a lot of old buildings don't have them in it, so it's important to see the difference. But when we light the house, the room on fire over there, you'll see how fast it will torch off, and it's scary how fast it is. And with a sprinkler, if we could build 2 of those rooms and have one with a sprinkler and one without, you'd see just how amazing the sprinklers are.
You know what amazes me, Steve, is how many people continue to come to this event. I think it's the most popular event that we have in Bedford.
It's pretty wild. We have a very good turnout, and we have people just this lady here. This is our 5th year in a row. You know, her kids are going to be in junior high, it looks like. You know, but they keep coming. My son loves it. So yeah, it's a good time.
Steve's been with the Bedford Fire Department, as I mentioned, for a long time.
16 years. Yeah,
16 years. So do you so any of the kids that came through here, no, they're to be too young, but do you think it'll be here in the department long enough to see the kids that came through here taking their kids through?
I hope I'm not here that long, but it's a good possibility. Yeah.
That's Steve Bateman, folks, and if you didn't have the opportunity to come down here this year, please do, because it's a lot of fun.
We have a lot of fun.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Billy.
I am standing now with a new Bedford Fire Department personality, and I would say I'm glad we got him, because he's got a great personality. His name is Thatcher Plant. He's the new Bedford Fire Inspector. Any other titles you're carrying?
Not currently, that's the one, but hopefully promotion in the future, right? Hopefully I'll be with the town long enough to get promoted. Hopefully you keep me.
Well, there you go, and he's got it on record that he's counting on a promotion. Got Deputy Chief back there. Hopefully he heard that. He's watching. Thatcher's actually going to be the new guy, actually replacing Captain Scott Hunter as our PR guy for our liaison to BCTV, Bedford Community Television, and the fire department. We do a lot of public safety announcements, and he's going to be the new face, and pretty soon we're going to have a few with your mug all over the place on channel 16, 22, and 23. But tonight, we're at one of the most popular events that the fire department throws. In fact, any town department throws, and this is the Bedford Fire Department's open house, which is always the first week in October, first full week in October. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in here right now.
Absolutely. So it's just another opportunity for us to create a dialogue with the community. We spend so much time in the schools and in the businesses doing public education, but we don't often get a chance to educate the parents. And a lot of the students who come in say, hey, I had him last week for fire prevention. So it's great to be able to interact with the whole family. So we have some of our other resources. Smokey is here. Hi, Smokey. That's a perfect cameo. So Smokey is one of our fire prevention allies. So he is here as well as the New Hampshire Division of Forest and Lands, and they're spreading their message. And we also have the State Fire Marshal's office here. They'll be doing a demonstration with their arson dog at 6 o'clock, and then we're doing a live fire demonstration after that. So there's a lot of events for both kids and adults, and a lot of opportunity to learn and have some fun.
I consider it an honor. I grew up watching Smokey the Bear on TV and with all those different avatars. I never had the opportunity to meet Smokey in person. Man, I got to tell you, I'll tell you. And you know, let's talk about that a little bit. Until the most recent rain, those forests out there, those woods out there, and I've seen it in the papers that a lot of the fire departments are stamping out fires. It's pretty dry.
Absolutely. So we get our red flag days, they call it, when you're not allowed to burn any fire, even if you have a permit, in the spring and in the fall when wind is high and humidity is low. So people think that it might be more dangerous during the summer because of how hot it is, but here in New Hampshire it's also humid, so we don't really have to worry about that in the summer. The fuels still stay moist.
Excellent. You mentioned going around to schools. Now, this is part of all the education. Thank you, Smokey.
Hi, Smokey.
You mentioned going around to the different schools, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. They do go around all the schools. I think it's mostly the elementary schools that you connect to. When they get up to the middle school, I'm not sure whether or not those discussions are still taking place. They probably should at the high school. But you guys have a lot of handouts. I think it's an interactive kind of training in the schools as well. Yep. But sometimes I think parents should take that course.
Absolutely. And so one of our learning objectives is to teach our kids when we're in the schools to go home and teach your parents, because it's been so long since they've done this. Things actually change. The fire science changes, and things that we thought were effective in the 60s or 70s we found may not be effective. And sometimes parents just get so busy that fire safety is in the back of their mind. So we really educate the kids and then say it's your homework to go home and teach your parents to be safe. So you're absolutely right. The adults need it just as much as the children do.
I think it's a testimonial that some of the kids coming here tonight recognize that you're out there. So what is that over there? I'm going to ask you to kind of give us a guided tour.
Yeah, so that's our fire safety trailer, they call it, and it has a mock kitchen and a mock bedroom in it, and we have the ability to introduce fake smoke. It's perfectly safe. It's also got a smoke alarm system in there too, so we can actually practice with the kids. When the smoke alarm goes off, stay low, crawl under the smoke. They can feel doors for heat. There's a door prop in there where it gets warm, and then they can either go out the door or go out the window. And so we brought that to all 3 elementary schools last week and let kids practice that, as well as teaching them the basics of good fires, bad fires, not to play with matches, things like that. So you're absolutely right. The 1st and 2nd graders go through this every year, and then when we see them again in the 5th grade, we do a little bit more advanced fire prevention. We do some escape planning from the home, and then one of the things we're trying to introduce going forward is to reach out to the high schoolers, like the driver's ed program, and be able to continue our education with them, so we don't just leave them after the 5th grade.
Now, there's some things here aside from participating in that event. Is there hose roll? I know in the past they used to roll up hoses and shoot the water and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't see it, but just beyond the Division of Forest and Lands trailer, they have an obstacle course for kids that they can practice some of the skills that we do as firefighters, following a hose through obstacles, and then they're able to actually flow some water and put out fake fire just beyond that.
So who are some of the other groups here, and we'll let you go real soon, that participate? You know, I see that there's the Bedford CERT team, and I don't think people understand what the CERT team might be, but I think they fall under the auspices of the Bedford Police Department. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. I unfortunately haven't gotten an opportunity to train with them, but the CERT team is the Community Emergency Response Team. It's a group of citizen volunteers who are trained. They actually take a class through the police department to be trained so that in the event of a major disaster, a hurricane, tornado, something of that nature, that they can respond and be able to assist the community while the police department and fire department are still doing our jobs.
Well, we're going to go around and talk to some of the other organizations that are here. The Bedford Police Department is here. They're always here. You guys work as a team, and so we all appreciate the safety folks that take care of us while we're feeling comfortable all the time. But I want to thank you, and if I think of anything else and I need to come back to chat with you, I certainly will. Again, that's your plant, our Bedford Fire Department fire inspector. Say that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And we all hope that someday he gets promoted.
That's right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
All right. See you later. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. I'm standing on the Sanford, which is a long traditional vehicle that goes back to the 1890s. No, it doesn't. Mid-30s, Chief?
1930.
1930. And I'm sitting here with John Bosquet and his dog,
Winnie.
Winnie. Now, you don't see too many Dalmatians riding around with on fire trucks anymore. What was the tradition behind the Dalmatian and fire trucks, Chief?
To drive some of the, when the horses were coming down, the dog would lead sometimes, keeping animals away from the horses and preventing the horses, but it was took care of things at the firehouse, and it was more of a mascot, you know, so they did serve a purpose, you know, so.
Right now he's serving a purpose of just kissing everybody. Well, this is great, and this is one of the more popular rides along with the ladder truck.
Yeah, some of them like the old truck, some of them like the new truck, so that's why we have a mix.
And John, you're a lucky kid.
Oh yes,
Hey John, he's a little boy still. He's driving. All right.
It's been a while since I've been on this.
Well, have
Unity Club Fair, a long time ago.
Well, this is great. Brings back memories for me. You guys have a blast. Take care. Yep.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to do a quick demonstration here with the dog before they do their burn, so I won't belabor it. My specialty with the State Fire Marshal's Office is a canine handler. I got a 2.5-year-old yellow lab. His name is Pal, and his job is specifically to detect minute traces of accelerants. Anything that runs the gamut from lighter fluid all the way up through diesel fuel. We obtained him from a grant from State Farm Insurance, so it really doesn't. It's not on the backs of the taxpayers. It was a grant fully funded by State Farm Insurance.
Yeah, you are.
Our schooling is about 200 hours long. We have to recertify every single year. His training is ongoing. Every day. He's a food reward dog, which means that he only eats when we train. So you'll see here, what I've done here is I've set up some cans, evidence cans. Inside the evidence cans is regular debris, fire debris from a fire. Obviously I can't take you all to a building fire, so I'll bring it to you. So inside these cans is what I would collect for evidence from a fire. Carpet pad, plastic, wood, all burned up inside the cans. One of the cans has 1 or 2 drops of gasoline in it, 50% evaporated gasoline. And his job is to sniff the evidence for me, and when he smells the minute traces of gasoline, he sits, and then he gets fed. And that's how he works. The reason why we use the dog, for a couple of reasons. One, he really cuts down on man hours. If we think that gasoline or an accelerant was used in a house or a building to burn it, he can cut down half the time by just sniffing. We all smell around 5 million parts per million, and he can smell about 225 million parts per million. So when we go to a pizza shop and we order a pizza, we say, wow, that pizza smells great. He can smell the pepperoni, the cheese, the tomato paste, the wheat. He can smell it all individually. So the other part of that is scent discrimination. He's able to sniff through all the debris. He can say, oh, that's wood, oh, that's plastic, that's carpet, ah, that's gas. And then he'll sit, and he'll get fed. The other part of it is that he's really non-judgmental. He doesn't care if you're black, white, Chinese, man or woman. If there's gas, he sits. So he's an excellent tool. He does stay home with me. We work together every day. My office is out of Concord, work at the State Fire Marshal's office. We have 2 accelerant detection canines. One's up in the North Country, one is down here, this is my area. And there's also one that works for the Manchester Fire Department. There's only 3 accelerant detection dogs in the whole state of New Hampshire. So without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'll run them over some of the cans here and just show you basically what we do. It's really not super exciting. He sniffs and he sits. So that's how the training goes, really. It's repetition over and over and over again. He smells the gasoline or the odor of petroleum distillate and he sits. Anybody have any questions? I don't have to tell him what, the question is, am I going to tell him what to sniff out? I don't have to because he already knows what to get. He's already trained to get it. He already knows what to get. Somebody else have a question? Go ahead, buddy. He likes puppies, everyone. He likes puppies. And he is. He's 2.5 years old. His name is Pal. He's from South Florida. He was a seeing eye dog for the blind, actually. And he decided on a career change. He didn't do so well. He was eating their food when they weren't looking. Or maybe they were looking and they just didn't see. But so he does really well with that. He has a great, he may look skinny, but he eats on an average of 3 or 4 cups of food per day over a week's time. So I vary his feeding times and I feed his food amounts. That keeps him kind of hungry. He never knows when he's going to get his next meal, which makes him always want to work for me. The best analogy for that is Thanksgiving. After we eat that big meal, how many of us want to go out and do stuff? None of us. If he eats a big meal, he's not going to want to work. So that's how he works, okay? All right, so just real quickly, so what I've got to recap, these evidence cans, this is what I typically take for evidence if I go to a scene. And what he'll do is, we've all seen burned buildings, all the black debris. He'll walk all through that and sniff it all. And if he alerts for me, I'll take that sample, put it in a can, and send it to the state lab. So that's what we're gonna kind of replicate that here today.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a funny boy.
Who wants to be a volunteer? Do me a favor? Take that one and put it here. Put that one there.
You don't want to go help?
It's like,
Oh, they're going to switch them around. Right? You think he's still going to find it? Yeah? Uh-oh.
oh, no. You want to do it again?
Yeah!
Again for me one more time.
Always,
get the first one. Take this one. And mix it with one of those. All the way to the end.
Let's
Anybody have any questions for Sean? Yeah, we're going to do the burn, and we may bring him back to investigate our fire after. All right, so on to the next thing. How many of you have seen us do this before? We usually have two of them, right? So we show you what a sprinkler does and what a sprinkler doesn't do. What we're going to try to do tonight is a couple things. Who here sleeps on the second floor in their bedroom? How many people know how to get out if something bad happens? So what happens if there was a fire in the bedrooms upstairs and you couldn't get down the stairs? How do you get out? Ooh. So I have a question for the parents. How many of you guys have rescue ladders in your second floor? Just in case the stairs... How many have actually taken them out and used them to see how they work? I have one. I'm guilty. I haven't taken it out of the box yet. But so what we're going to try to do tonight is, there's a lot of things that go into firefighting, and there's a lot of things that happen when a room is on fire. A lot of people don't realize how fast fire grows. So when you're upstairs in your second floor and you're thinking, God, I got to get out of here, and you have that rescue ladder, and you've never used it before, when minutes count, you're going to see we have a timer set up here. As soon as the fire starts in there, we're going to start the timer to show you how quick that room is going to change. That's probably half the size of a normal bedroom. So it could speed it up a little bit, but you're going to see how much the value of knowing where your ladder is, what the smoke detector sounds like, how to protect the doorway with a towel. There's a lot to this that we want to make sure that you get. So who here charges their phone at night, maybe on their headboard or their laptop, and they leave it sitting on their bed? And those things overheat, right? So people think, yeah, it's not going to happen to me. So what we've simulated here is you're going to see that the bed's going to start on fire, simulating somebody plug their phone in, push the bed against the wall, and put pressure on the cord, which overheated the cord. I know I've had a cord that melted in my car, so it's one of those things because I had it pinched between the console. That's how we're going to simulate this starting. So as soon as the fire starts, we're going to start the timer. You're probably going to feel some heat from that distance. If you feel like you need to step back, step back. And then we're going to show you what the firefighters do. They're going to be all suited up and show you how the fire gets put out by us, all right? So who's ready? Who's ready? This is firefighter Sue Martin and firefighter Joe Curtin are going to be our suppression people. Steve Brady's going to light this fire for us. And Tom Green's going to run the pump. All right, I'm going to put this down. And I'll give you guys the 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to start, okay? All right, now pay attention. You're going to see. We're 9 or 10 seconds into this, right? Is there fire in there?
Oh, and stay with Jacob. Stay with Jacob. Just sit down so people can see.
right, so we're all sleeping, right? And we can smell something. We're waiting for that noise to go off. Anybody know what noise I should hear next? Right, smoke. Oh, there it is. We're at a minute, right? So you're a minute into this fire, and you just, oh my God, I gotta get up, I gotta find mom and dad. And what am I looking to do? What am I gonna practice with at home? The mailbox, the rock, the meeting place. We all get outside, if we can get out safely. All right, how's it doing in there, guys? So now you're going to call the fire department. Who knows what number to dial? 911. 991? You sure? Are you sure? 911, right? And the person on the phone is going to ask you all kinds of questions, right? Where do you live? What's going on? And now you realize you're on the second floor. And the stairways, you can't get down. Parents, this is important about getting that ladder all right about now. All right, we're 2 minutes into this. You can see that the heat and the smoke is building at the ceiling, right? All right, we're 2 minutes and 34 seconds in. All right. So if you're in the bedroom beside this, what do? You can see the smoke in the hallway. You close the door, right? Put your blanket at the bottom of the door if you can't get out. Keeps the heat and the smoke out. I'm going to step back and let the firemen do their job. Huh? Yep. All right, we're 3 minutes and 20 seconds into this. You can see all the heat and smoke building up right on the roof. All right, we're coming up on 4 minutes. They call that flashover in the room. Now this is, all right, go ahead, put it out, guys. Good job. So that took us 4 minutes and 15 seconds, right? When it finally flashed like that. So I'm going to stop the clock. So we talk about the ladders and smoke detection. For the parents, that ladder is really important, especially if you're on the second floor. Get it out, use it, try it. If you have to, climb down it. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but you'll know what to do if this happens on your bedroom. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by to our open house.
All right, now standing with Rick Sawyer, who's the acting town manager. Rick, Bedford Fire Department open house, always a great time.
Oh, I can't believe how many kids and families are here tonight. It's a great turnout. It's a great night. Great place to be. It's the best place to be in Bedford tonight.
That's for sure. I've had a chance to talk to a number of different parents on camera and off camera, and some of the firefighters that are participating, they always love being part of this. And they've had people coming up to them saying, hey, this is my 6th year here, my 7th year. It's been a long-standing tradition in Bedford.
Yeah, if you've come once, you have to come again, absolutely, to see what's going on. And our fire department's the best around, in my opinion. And you know, it costs the taxpayer a fair amount of money, but I don't think it's excessive in any way. And they do the best job for our town.
Well, I think any resident in any community is going to say, you know, safety first, and they take a look at it as a wise investment. But sometimes dollars are competitive. You know, other departments, police, fire department, and public works, you have to manage all that. Right. Budget's coming up right now. You're faced with some challenges. One of those things that are being considered, and we know Bedford has grown over the years. I know I came in 1992, basically 12,000 people here. Now we're up to 23,000 approximately. And when town grows, and the commercial zone down at South River is growing, and there's the requirements for additional safety. You know, tell the community what the town is thinking and the town councils are dealing with right now.
Well, the town council will be taking it up later this month with a presentation on the 14th about a new safety substation. It's something the town's been considering for over 10 years now. And in 2005, there was a study done that showed that we needed another station, even in 2005. So 10 years ago, we needed a safety substation on the South River Road to deal with all the growth that's been happening down there. Our response times, over 43% of all of our calls are to the South River Road corridor. And our response times there are really unacceptable in the long run. Yes, we have other parts of Bedford that it takes a long time to get to as well, but our number of calls there aren't nearly as great. So we need to do something to focus on that need in the South River Road corridor. So a new safety substation is what's being considered. There's been no vote by the council yet at this point. If you remember, a couple years ago it was on the ballot, didn't quite get the numbers that we needed that year. It was up against a pretty sizable, important road bond that year. But I hope that this year the council will support the project and put it on the ballot again and see how the voters decide on that. It is an expensive project. Right now it's looking at $2.7 million needed to complete the project, but it will give us an improved response time, the need where we need it the most in town. In South River Road, we have a lot of people that live down there now. We have a lot of assisted living facilities in that area and all the commercial facilities as well. It's absolutely our number one need in the community, in my opinion.
Let's go back to that. You mentioned 2 years ago, and I remember that, and we had a big road bond on the ballot at the time. But you needed 2/3 to pass that safety, the safety substation. And if I recall correctly, you had about 56% of the voters that said, yeah, I want that. And that was pretty good when you think about what they were competing against.
Absolutely, there's no question. We know the community supports it. We know the community supports our fire department and our police department like no other. The police department open house is almost equally as popular. So we know the citizens will be there if the timing's right, if we've done our homework, if we've presented all the rationale for why we need the station. I think we can do that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is this option now for this substation, is this less than what they had on the ballot before?
It's a similar proposal, but when it was on the ballot before, we didn't have a location. Now we have a location. The town council did purchase a piece of property. The old Napa Auto Parts building is now owned by the town, so that will be our location. So before it was a little bit of an unknown. We have been able to refine it, and the money has come down. The cost has come down now that we know where the station will be.
Well, I know the council's really studying it, and I know this is very wise council. They just want to make sure they have their the T's crossed and the I's dotted. You guys have done a great job of, at least in the preliminary aspect of it, getting data to them. And I know we're going to be doing a number of different shows as more data comes in to justify that the new location, which is absolutely ideal down in that commercial world down in there in South River, is perfect for it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. The council's taking their time to make sure it's right. It wasn't on the ballot last year because, frankly, it hadn't been vetted enough. We didn't have all the information that the council needed. I think we're there this year. I think the council will support it. And like you said, we'll have a lot of discussion about this going all the way through the fall in the budget session.
So there you have it, Rick Sawyer, the acting town manager, and I just want to add, we will be doing a number of different shows on the substation. I ask you to please tune in, and if you want to look at it at your leisure when these shows are out there, we'll make that available to you. Well, it is available on video on demand on Bedford Community Television. So the vote takes place in March, and we hope to have a large turnout, and you'll be educated if you take the time to read as well as watch what your politicians in town who are working very hard, their volunteers, are doing and make sure this community remains safe and continue to prosper.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Rick. Well, I'm standing here now with firefighter Sue Martin. Sue, welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Good to be here.
It's good. It's good to have you here. Sue's going to talk about a program that has been around for a number of years and becoming more and more popular, and it's a treat for a lot of the kids. And it's part of the, education on fire safety for the month of October, and an extension of this open house here as well. Sue, tell everybody what the fire department does.
So we offer this program for kids in the community, and they draw a map of their house. On the map, they draw 2 ways out. They draw their meeting place, they draw their smoke detectors, they put it on this form, this paper, fill out the information on the back, and then they submit it in a box that's in the permit room in the fire department. And at Sunday, October 25th at 8 o'clock, we're going to pull the box in, we'll look through them all, and we pick a winner to get a ride to school in a fire truck. And so what we do, we coordinate with the teacher, we coordinate with the school, and we coordinate with the parents, and for the winner, we will bring the fire truck to their house, and it's a great photo opportunity. It's really amazing. So we bring them to the house, we pick them up. Sometimes they bring a sibling, sometimes they bring a friend. We drive them to school. Once we get in the parking lot of the school, we turn the lights on and the sirens on, and the student's classroom is outside waiting for them. Then we get a picture of the class, everybody together, and then they go on. Obviously, the point behind this, we really need kids to start looking at their meeting places. We need them to start thinking about 2 ways out. The fire truck ride is just the incentive we have for families to go home and start thinking about these things. Because if we pull up to a house and it's on fire and everybody's out at a meeting place, it makes our job safer, because now we don't have to go in and look for somebody if we know everybody's out. And it's just a big part of the fire prevention. And I know a lot of families have those meeting places, but there's a lot that they don't or they forget. And we go into the schools and ask them, and this just really encourages them with a really, really good incentive at the end. So.
Well, that's excellent. Now, let me ask you, what ages?
So, what we do, it's not really a known fact because we always say there's a winner, but the reality is we pick a winner from each of the elementary schools. So there's one winner in each of the elementary schools, and then we pick one preschool. And so there's 4 winners altogether. There's 4 shifts. Each shift takes a winner, and we do it. It usually ends up by the time we pick the winners and coordinate with the schools. It's usually about mid-November that the event takes place. So, we've had a lot of entries some years, other years not as many. So your odds are great. But at the end of the day, really the purpose is for them to go in and to talk to their families about how to keep themselves safe and their families safe in the event of an emergency.
Well, that's great, and I know the schools work with you and making this all possible. You guys have an excellent in-school education program. I know that you've all gone in there. We're talking to Thatcher Plant, speaking to a lot of the students. Well, I was kind of disappointed it was just for the elementary school kids. I wanted to put my name in there, but...
You never know. We know people.
We know people to know people. Well, that's absolutely excellent. And so, if they're not here this evening, where can they pick up the applications?
Great question. Everything will be left in the permit room in the fire department. So the entry forms are there, and the drop box is there. This is the drop box, and there's directions really on what we need them to do. It's pretty self-explanatory, and we'll put this out in the permit room. So I guess it's every bit of information that you need is there. And pretty much any firefighter, if you come to the station, they can tell you what it's all about.
Wow, that's absolutely excellent. It continues to grow. I know it's becoming more and more popular, and I have to tip my hat to you guys. You guys are a bunch of fun firefighters down here. It's a great month to, again, firefighters, and I should say fire safety. Gives us an opportunity to thank you guys for doing what you do. And remember, be safe out there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks. It's a great community outreach thing, and it gets us into the schools and builds that really strong relationship for our community.
Thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.
All right, folks, there you have it. Another great Bedford Fire Department open house. Need to remind you that it is the first Tuesday in October every single year. Smokey the Bear, let me tell you, you're doing a great job out there helping prevent forest fires. So if you didn't make it this year, definitely come next year, because it's not only for the kids, it's for adults, and everybody has a blast. For Smokey the Bear, I'm Bill Jennings, the station manager. Thank you very much, Colleen, who is behind the camera, and we will see you all down here next year.